Gillis, folks. Your candidate.
Gillis is your friend. Steady as a rock, sharp as a tack, but humble.
Come on, boy, get up here and say a few words for your old dad. Let's hear it now, big and
Sure,
loud,
Dad.
huh?
Vote for Gillis. Vote for Herbert T. Gillis for the Planning Commission.
No, more room. Stir 'em up, shock 'em. Listen to the old pro.
A vote for Herbert T. Gillis is a vote against his opponent, Cheever. Cheever is a rascal. Cheever is a scoundrel.
Dad, are you sure this Mr. Cheever's such a rascal and a scoundrel? I've heard he's
He's
kind of
against me, ain't he?
Cheever's a rascal. Cheever's a scoundrel. Here, voters, read all about Herbert T. Gillis, the honest, decent candidate, and his opponent, George J. Cheever, the rascal and scoundrel. Voters,
Keep talking, boy. What are you stopping for? No, with a stupid question. Where is she?
Where are you going?
Hello there, little lady. Here to learn about the fascinating world of politics?
Sounds exciting.
Oh, it is, it is. And happily you've come to exactly the right person. I'd be delighted to teach you everything I can. It may take hours far, far into the night, but I shall tell you all about honest, upright candidates like Herbert T. Gillis and rascals and scoundrels like his low-down opponent, George J. Cheever.
You will?
Mais oui, mon petit. You see, I happen to be an eminent authority on the subject. I'm the upright candidate's son, Dobie Gillis.
And I am the rascal and scoundrel's daughter, Betty Jane Cheever.
Talk about luck. I mean, you talk about luck. I wouldn't recognize it if it ran up and bit me. I see so little of it. Here I meet the girl I've been searching for all my life. And who does she turn out to be? The daughter of my father's deadly political enemy.
What difference does that make when a boy and girl meet and they like each other? We do like each other, don't we?
Let's get married. Does that answer your question?
You're real cute.
Yeah.
So you see, we'd be foolish to let a thing like politics come between us. Don't you think?
Don't move. I'll be right back. Dad, that girl.
Okay, son, how much do you want?
No, Dad.
Look, you've been working hard in the store, and you need
Dad.
a little relaxation.
Dad,
Boy,
look,
here,
look.
take a couple of bucks. will you?
Dad, the girl's name is Cheever. She's your opponent's daughter.
Cheever's daughter? What pretty trick is she up to?
I don't know. She seems very friendly.
Oh, that sneaky Cheever taking advantage of a poor innocent boy. Here, son, here's $5. Go down and see if you can worm any information out of her.
Dad, she's not that kind of a girl.
That's what they said about Nana Harry.
Dad, look.
Son, we are going to run this campaign fair and square. Now, you get over there, and if you can get anything out of her about her old man, we'll smear him good.
Dad, I can handle this myself. You're acting like you don't trust me.
Well, of course I trust you. I trust you completely. Like as if you was my own son.
Dad's suspicions about Betty Jane were ridiculous. I took her over to the campus cafeteria for ice cream, and she was very understanding when I tried to explain to her what kind of a man Dad really is, underneath. Now, it isn't easy to explain Dad to a stranger, or even to a friend. Come to think of it, I haven't got the vaguest notion of what makes him tick. Whatever Dad does, he goes all out to win.
My father's an entirely different sort of man. He's a librarian, quiet and reserved. He doesn't seem to enjoy getting out and arguing with people like your father seems to.
Gee, he doesn't sound like the kind of man you'd expect to see running for office.
He isn't. He's only running because he feels so strongly about Proposition E.
Proposition who?
Proposition E. You know, the bill to tear down those horrible old tenement buildings on the north side so that they can put up beautiful new schools and parks and playgrounds.
Oh, that Proposition E.
I can't believe your father hasn't taken some stand on it.
Betty Jane, I know my father, and believe me, I can believe it.
Dobie, I would hate to see the election come between us, but how can your father run for public office if he isn't simply crammed full of information on all the facts and issues?
Facts? Issues? I ignore them.
Well, what about Proposition E?
Proposition who?
Betty Jane was right. You don't have any interest in the basic questions of this election.
I knew we'd have trouble with Cheever. I'm going to have him brought up on charges of premeditated arson or something.
Dad, you don't know anything about Proposition E, do you?
I don't have to. I'm in politics now.
It's a miserable scheme, Herb. Some crack-brained notion they gotta tear down the whole north side.
Okay, you got to be kidding. The north side? Why, that's the oldest neighborhood in town.
Dad, it's a slum.
It is not. Some of our biggest industries have their factories over there. The Snappy Buggy Whip Company, Sanitary Whippletrees Incorporated, Race About Electric Car Corporation.
I was born in that neighborhood. And you was too, Herb.
Right, why, them time-honored old buildings, maybe not too fancy, no deluxe trimmings.
Like plumbing?
Never mind. So they ain't got the latest facilities. But it's neighborhoods like that that build character. Why, some of them grand old buildings been standing there over 150 years, and to tear them down would be sheer waste and destruction. And I go on record as being strongly and logically opposed to Proposition E.
In that case, Dad, I don't know if I can support you.
You what?
You can't expect me to support you just because you're my father.
Why not? I support you just because you're my son.
Shame on you, Herbert. Instead of being angry with Dobie, you ought to be proud that he wants to be an independent voter.
Well, maybe you're right, Winnie. Son, I'm sorry I yapped at you. I keep forgetting you're not like the general run of voters, empty-headed, vacuum-brained, lost in a fog.
You rang? Hi, man. Like hi, Mr. M. Like hi, Mr. G. Like hi, Dom G. Like hi, Mrs. G.
Hello, dear.
Now, there goes a typical voter. No interest in the issues. All they want is noise and fireworks. Watch this. They're gonna tear down the north side.
Oh, woe is me.
The old and wonderful historical North Side.
Like a lass in a lack.
Why, certainly, that neighborhood isn't just houses and buildings and streets. Hands off the north side, I say.
Hands off the north side, I say.
Tradition, history, memories.
Hands off the north side.
Right, and they want to tear it down. Are we gonna let them?
Hands off the north side.
Right, hands off the north side.
Mr. G.
What?
Where's the north side?
What's the matter with you? It's that neighborhood right up there on River Street.
Oh, yeah, the slums.
Wait a minute, Maynard. That ain't the slums.
Certainly not. It's neighborhoods like that that build character, prepare you for the battle of life, toughen you up, forge you into steel. Hands off tradition, I say.
No, Dad. Betty Jane showed me that it's important to understand what a candidate stands for. It's something I should have figured out for myself.
Hi, Miss Gillis. We're from the Daily Courier.
Hello.
Ah, distinguished gentlemen of the press, welcome.
How about a couple of pictures and maybe a brief policy statement?
Hands off the slums. They build character and force us into stealing.
Maynard, that is forge us into steel and butt out. I have a statement to make. Now, a few words upon the issues. My opponent, Cheever, is a librarian, a do-gooder. What experience does he have to face the cold, hard facts of life? None. Now, when the voters find this out, I just had a great idea. Let us debate the issues on television. Let the voters decide whether they want a namby-pamby thinker or a two-fisted go-getter. And if Cheever is half the man Herbert T. Gillis is, he won't never refuse no challenge.
Okay, Mr. Gillis, we'll straighten out the grammar and print your challenge in the morning edition. Now, how about a little family picture? Mrs. Gillis, you want to stand over here next to your husband?
I'm Mulcahy, the candidate's Lot's brother and also his campaign manager.
I'm Manny G. Krebs, and I'm for the slums.
Wait a minute, who are you?
Dobie Gillis, sir.
Oh, the candidate's son. We'll move over right over here, boy, next to your father.
No, sir, I don't think I'd better. I mean, it wouldn't be right for me to pose in the picture.
How come?
Well, sir, I think my father's a wonderful guy, and I love him and respect him, but
But what?
But what, son? What?
I've got to campaign for Mr. Cheever.
And stay out.
There comes a time when a fella's got to stand up for his principles. When Dad refused to even listen to those principles and threw me out, well, it hurt my pride. It hurt my self-respect. It hurt.
Thank you so much for hearing our side. And remember, vote for George J. Cheever, friends. He's for Proposition E. He's a man of principle, he knows the issues, and he knows the facts.
Not so loud, dear. We don't want to disturb the people who live around here.
Daddy, we've got to let everybody know what this campaign is all about. We're in a rough, tough election. You can't just... Oh, hi, Dobie.
Hi, Betty Jane.
Daddy, this is Dobie Gillis.
How do you do, Mr. Cheever? It's an honor to meet you.
Likewise, my boy. I've heard very good things about you. Yes, very good things from Betty Jane.
Oh, Daddy.
Oh, I must have said the wrong thing again, but then I usually do.
No, you don't, sir. At least not about the issues in this campaign. That's why I've come to volunteer whatever help I can give. I'm for Proposition E, and I'm for you.
Well, that's terribly kind of you, Dobie. But what about your father? What does he think of this?
My father and I aren't talking. I've just moved out of the house, by request. Now, what can I do to help your campaign, Mr. Cheever? Just name it.
Dobie, I'm grateful for your support, but I won't let the election come between you and your father.
Well, Dad just doesn't understand.
Well, have you tried to explain this to him?
Sure.
I mean, really explain?
Well...
Well, try it, my boy. Elections and issues are important, certainly. And a young man's enthusiasm is exciting to behold. But none of these things compares even slightly to the bond between a father and a son.
Daddy's right, Dobie. Don't turn your back on your father till you've had a chance to discuss this with him calmly and quietly.
I'm sure you'll listen to your explanation with an open mind. He's a fair man.
Sure, I'll listen to your explanation with an open mind. I'm a fair man.
Thanks, Dad. I was hoping you'd feel that way.
Sure, so start talking, Benedict Arnold.
Herbert, you said you'd be fair.
Okay, I'm fair. Explain already.
Now, in the
Why
first place...
did you do it, son? Why? Have I been a cruel father? Have I been mean to you?
Herbert, let him explain.
Who's stopping him? Explain already.
You see, Dad...
You'd think that I didn't do everything I could to make you happy.
Herbert, let him explain.
Explain.
Dad, I've met Mr. Cheever, and you're 100 times better candidate than he is.
Oh?
Absolutely. He's drab and dull. You're colorful and dashing. He's timid and shy. You're dynamic and forceful.
You see, Winnie, how I don't interrupt the boy when he's talking sense?
You see, Herbert, what your son thinks of you. Now, you forgive him. You go ahead and forgive him.
Sure, son. I forgive you.
Yeah.
And welcome home.
Thank you, Dad.
You
Thank
just
you.
felt sorry for Cheever because he's a schnook, because he's dull and drab, and I'm colorful and dashing.
That's right, Dad.
And
That's
because he's timid and I'm forceful.
Yes, Dad.
And because he's shy and I'm dynamic.
Yes, Dad. But there's one important difference.
What's that?
He's right and you're wrong.
And I mean, stay out.
So I made up my mind to move away from home for good and plunge into the campaign to elect Mr. Cheever. I had to prove, especially to myself, that I've got backbone. Yes, my fellow citizens, the issue here is progress or stagnation. Will our town wither and die, strangled by crumbling slums, or will it prosper and grow with Proposition E and George J. Cheever?
Just a minute, laddie. What about loyalty? Can we believe a kid who double-crossed his own father?
Sir, if my father was a candidate for the world's greatest father, I'd be campaigning for him. He's a great guy, and I love him. But he's all wrong on Proposition E, and that's why I'm for Cheever. Hi, Dad.
Like hi, Mr. G. Beard's the most, huh?
The election campaign went on hot and heavy, in parks and auditoriums and on street corners.
Thank you, fellow citizens and fans of good government. And I promise you that I shall conduct this campaign upon the highest possible level. No insinuations, no innuendos, no name-calling like my sleazy, slinky-eyed, treacherous opponent and his crooked supporters.
But the big guns were saved for the television debates, and they were a smash in at least one way. They even topped the famous Kennedy-Nixon contest. They were louder.
Please, the federal law specifically forbids the use of such language on the air. You understand, Mr. Gillis? Any further outbursts and we may be censored off the air. Now, Mr. Cheever, please continue.
Well, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me get right to the heart of the issue by stating bluntly and frankly that I forgot my glasses. There, I don't see very well without my glasses.
Let's be honest. Mr. Cheever was not the best speaker in the world. Let's be even more honest. He was the worst. I mean, that audience in the television studio kept looking at the exits like they were waiting for somebody to holler, women and children first. But finally he finished, and then it was Dad's turn. Boy, what a difference. Mr. Cheever's speech meant very little, but Dad's speech, on the other hand, meant absolutely nothing.
Neighbors, have we lost the pioneer spirit? Do we need facts and figures to tell us what is right? I say no. Mr. Cheever wants to do away with the North Side because it's getting old. Maybe our wives are getting old, too. But do we want to do away with them? No, because we still love them, and they bring back fond memories. And so I shall fight to the death to preserve my right not to throw away my old wife or the old North Side.
Did you hear that double talk and gibberish? You can imagine how the audience reacted to it.
Come down to City Hall, my office door will always be open.
Good night, Mr. Commissioner.
Good night, Mulcahy.
For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow.
Hey, Dobe! Dobe, you'd have been proud of your old man tonight. They applauded and whistled and I keep forgetting he ain't here, the treacherous traitor.
It seems so empty and quiet here without him. Herbert, please go and find our boy and bring him home. What shall it availeth you if you win the election and loseth your own son?
You know how much I'd like to do it, Winnie, but I just can't.
Herbert, there isn't anything that you can't if it will hold our family together. Please go and find him.
You're right, Winnie. No sacrifice is too great for our boy. I'll start first thing in the morning.
Thank you, dear, thank you. You may have to search all over town to locate him.
I'll do it.
You may have to swallow your pride.
I'll do it.
You may have to talk to Maynard.
I'll do it. That ought to prove to you how much I love the boy.
Vote for Cheever, folks. Vote for Cheever. On election day, get out there and exercise your franchise for good government.
Like right. Don't get caught running around with no flabby franchises. Vote for Cheever like he's the most. Like he's the wildest. Like bye. No, negative. Capital N-O-E. No, I ain't telling.
Telling what?
Where my good buddy Dobie is. I like owe them in blood I wouldn't think. And I ain't gonna ride on my true pal Dobie. I mean, he can like rely on me.
Maynard, please. Where is Dobie?
Dobie who?
Come on, Maynard.
Describe him.
Maynard, this is serious. I gotta see my boy, Dobie.
Dobie who?
Miss, you know where he is. Come on, please tell me. Where's Dobie?
Dobie who?
All right. So after the way I treated him, I don't deserve to ever see him again or talk to him again. I was mean and rude and rotten.
No. You were just a little quick-tempered.
He was right the first time.
Maynard! I agree with you. But, miss, you gotta take me to Dobie. I gotta see him. I gotta make up with him. I just gotta. Come on now. Where's Dobie?
Dobie who?
Oh, coming. But the voters of our city must see for themselves how a rundown neighborhood destroys the morale of everyone who lives in it. Hi, Dad.
Oh, boy.
How's Mom?
Oh, she's fine. Misses you, of course.
I miss her, too. Maynard, you promised you wouldn't tell where I was.
I couldn't help it, Dobe. Did you ever see a grown man cry? It's spooky.
Don't blame Maynard, Dobie. You and your father can't go on acting like strangers to each other. It's terrible for both of you.
That's good thinking, girlie, especially for the Cheever. Dobe, what are you doing in a dump like this?
Oh, this isn't a dump, Dad. It's one of the glorious and historical landmarks of the North Side. The whole place reeks of tradition.
So that's what it is, huh? Everything's so changed around here. It's only a short 35 years. How can a neighborhood change so much in such a short time? Maybe it hasn't changed and everything else has, like me. People still live around here, too, and not just for a couple of days like you, son, but permanently. Live here, bring up their kids here. They gotta play out in those dirty streets and beat up lots.
It's a crying shame. Anybody that would raise kids in a neighborhood like this ought to be run out of town.
There's another way, Dad. Give them a better place to bring up their kids.
What can I say, boy? I just didn't give 2 seconds thought to things I should have known all along. I'm selfish and self-centered and mule-headed.
No, you're not.
Sure he is. This whole neighborhood has to be torn down and rebuilt again so the people can live here like people. The old North Side just ain't what it used to be. You know, come to think of it, it probably never was.
Yeah, Dad, I knew you'd understand. Once you've faced up to the facts.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gillis.
Mr. G, you're like a real human being. I don't care what anybody says.
All right. Let's not get all flustered just because I caught on, huh? After all, you know, I don't have to have the roof fall in on me.
Maybe it'll help.
My father's a man with a strong, stubborn mind. But never let it be said that his mind can't be changed. It's a cinch. All it takes is for the roof to fall in on him. And that's why when Herbert T. Gillis showed up for the second television debate, he was a different Herbert T. Gillis.
Lame brains. If we allow poverty, disease, and crime to continue running wild just because we want to hold on to something that ain't there anymore and probably never was. So I say, let's all say goodbye to the old North Side. That's yesterday. And let's get out and fight for Proposition E. That's tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, I could never have presented such a stirring argument for Proposition E as Mr. Gillis has just done. So I'm withdrawing from the campaign to allow him to be elected unanimously.
Cheever, oh, no, you don't. Don't be a dirty turncoat like me. I withdraw.
Gentlemen, please, no abusive language.
I withdraw.
Cheever, you are an impractical egghead. Why don't you use that egghead of yours for something besides keeping your ears from flapping together like a couple of cymbals?
Mr. Gillis, for shame. I warned you about the censor. At any rate, the laws of our city do not allow either candidate to withdraw at this time. So the decision must be left to the voters.
Voters, vote for Cheever!
No, vote for Gillis.
No, vote
He's
for
a
Cheever.
fighter.
I am telling
He's
you.
the one.
The campaign to elect a new planning commissioner had begun. And what a campaign. It was unusual and different and, well, what it was ridiculous. I mean, Dad campaigned for Mr. Cheever. And Mr. Cheever campaigned for Dad. And Maynard and Betty Jane and I campaigned for everybody. It's campaigns like this that make you wonder if Paul Revere shouldn't have fallen off his horse.
Yes, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. I've just been handed the final tally. Cheever, 1,682. Gillis, 1,683. Gillis wins by 1 vote.
Oh, thank you, friends, neighbors, and fans of good government. The people have spoken by an overwhelming majority.
1 vote? Overwhelming?
Never mind, Maynard. And on this grand and glorious occasion, I have prepared a few words of appreciation. From the rock-bound coasts of Maine to the sunny shores of California, I find
he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow.
Let me say thank you. They haven't sold this many papers in months.
All right, you guys, 4 stand the grammar skates. Stand back, folks. We got a grip of the tree band.
What's going on,
Just past
constituent?
Proposition E, you know.
We know, so.
So we're tearing all this down. We're going to put up some new houses, schools, a shopping center. Take a look at it. This store is part of the 10 blocks that got to come down. Hey, Lionel, rev it up the Francis store.
Hey, hold it, you kids.
That's what it looks like the main foundation.
Come in here and say that.